If you're seeing this tonight, it's not by coincidence. Something, call it alignment, timing, or Tesla's frequency, has guided this message into your field. Because right now, you're being tested, not by the universe in punishment, but by the unseen mechanics of energy responding to your coherence. What if I told you that what feels like chaos in your life isn't random misfortune, but a calibration sequence designed to see if you've learned how to hold your vibration when the evidence around you demands collapse? Tonight, we step into Tesla's forgotten blueprint. Not the myth of his genius, but the pattern behind his whispers. He said, "If you want to understand the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration." But what he didn't say aloud was that the universe listens to yours. Every thought, every micro-emotion, every breath emits a signal, a pattern of oscillations the field translates into experience. The test you're facing is not about endurance, it's about resonance. You're not being asked to survive the storm, you're being asked to tune through it. Imagine your life as a massive resonant coil. The obstacles, the delays, the heartbreaks, these aren't malfunctions. They're feedback loops showing you where your current frequency still carries distortion. You think something is falling apart, but in truth, something is being fine-tuned. The field only echoes what's already encoded in your signal. The same way Tesla tuned his coils to the Earth's natural resonance to send power wirelessly. You're learning to transmit consciousness across the invisible grid of your reality. You're not here to learn more theories. You're here to remember how the energy that animates you responds to coherence like a mirror to light. And here's the paradox. The test always arrives disguised as confusion. The universe hides its initiations in everyday moments. An unanswered message, a missed opportunity, an unexpected silence. When you react from fear, you collapse the waveform into repetition. When you respond from presence, you expand into new probability lines. Tesla knew this. He called it the principle of magnified oscillation. The idea that a small, consistent signal sustained with clarity can move worlds. That's you. Your thought is the current, your breath the circuit, your emotion the frequency. When aligned, they generate a field strong enough to reprogram the material plane. But first, you must learn to pause inside the test. The moment you feel urgency rising, that's your cue. The test isn't asking you to act, it's asking you to observe. Because in observation, energy collapses into clarity. This is what the mystics called the threshold of the observer, and what Tesla demonstrated through machines. Coherence amplifies power. Tonight's message isn't about worshiping Tesla or decoding numbers. It's about recognizing that you are the instrument he spent his life describing, the living transmitter of infinite potential. And when life tests you, it isn't to break you. It's to measure the purity of your signal before amplification. So take a breath, right now. Slow, intentional. Because the way you breathe in this very instant tells the field whether you've learned the lesson or are still looping through it. The frequency of your breath is the password to your next reality. You're not late, you're right on time. The test you're in is sacred calibration, and this message has found you tonight to help you pass it by remembering Tesla's most hidden clue. The power was never in the machine. It was always in the human being who knew how to hold the current. You've been living inside a loop for so long that you've mistaken repetition for stability. Each morning you wake with the same thoughts rearranged into new sentences, the same emotions disguised as fresh urgency. You believe your circumstances are changing, but only the scenery shifts. The underlying vibration, your base frequency, remains the same. This is the reality loop, a self-perpetuating cycle where thought triggers emotion, emotion shapes breath, breath alters chemistry, and chemistry reinforces belief. The loop feeds on your attention, and until you become aware of it, it runs like background code, repeating patterns that feel faded but are merely familiar. Here's how it happens. A trigger occurs, someone ignores you. Money feels tight, time slips away. Your nervous system reacts before the mind can translate the event. Breath quickens, shoulders tense, the chest constricts. That physiological shift sends a message to the brain. Danger. The brain, scanning for meaning, overlays a story. I'm being abandoned again. I'm failing. I can't trust them. That story generates emotion, fear, anger, sadness, and the emotion reshapes your breath again, keeping it shallow and erratic. The field around you records this pattern, broadcasting it as information to reality itself. Then, because the field mirrors your broadcast, more evidence arrives to confirm the belief. The loop closes. Trigger breath meaning action, evidence stronger belief. The cycle continues, each turn reinforcing the illusion of inevitability. You start to believe the loop is your personality. You call it, just how I am. But Tesla understood loops differently. To him, repetition wasn't identity, it was resonance. A loop wasn't imprisonment. It was potential energy waiting for recalibration. Every alternating current, every oscillation, contained the capacity to invert polarity, to flip direction, to transmute. You experience the same phenomenon psychologically. The same energy that powers fear can power faith. The same current that fuels doubt can become intuition when aligned through awareness. The problem is not that you feel. The problem is that you don't notice you're feeling. Awareness collapses the illusion. But without awareness, every emotional surge triggers the same neural cascade, and the brain, addicted to familiarity, calls it comfort. Your consciousness becomes like a record groove etched by years of repetition. The needle of your attention keeps tracing the same path, playing the same song, different lyrics, same melody. Reality loops operate not because fate decrees them, but because coherence cannot emerge from contradiction. You say you desire peace, but your breath encodes tension. You affirm abundance, but your physiology vibrates scarcity. The field doesn't respond to words, it responds to frequency. The mismatch between declared intention and embodied signal produces static, and static repeats until coherence is established. This is why your growth feels like a test that keeps returning in new disguises. The partner changes, but the dynamic is the same. The job title shifts, but the stress pattern persists. Each recurrence is life showing you where your coherence falters, inviting recalibration through presence. You're not being punished, you're being tuned. But noticing the loop requires slowing perception, and modern life is engineered to prevent that. The constant noise, the notifications, the scrolling, all designed to keep you vibrating at incoherent frequencies, so the loop feels inevitable. The breath mirrors this external chaos. Short, shallow, fragmented. Tesla would have called it energetic leakage, wasted current dispersing instead of focusing. When your awareness is scattered, so is your power. Now imagine redirecting that current. Imagine if, instead of unconsciously reacting to every external pulse, you became the conductor of your own energy. Each breath would act as a tuning fork, aligning your inner frequency with coherence. The loop would break not by force, but by observation. You'd begin noticing the gap between stimulus and response, the moment where choice lives. That microsecond of awareness is your liberation point. Every loop is a closed system until awareness enters. Awareness acts like a higher voltage, destabilizing the old pattern so a new frequency can emerge. This is why you often feel discomfort right before breakthrough. The system is reconfiguring. The mind interprets uncertainty as danger, but consciousness recognizes it as the birth of new possibility. Tesla described this universal principle through resonance. Two frequencies cannot occupy the same space without one entraining the other. Whichever frequency is more coherent, dominates. When your awareness becomes more coherent than your old emotional habits, the habits dissolve. You no longer feed the loop dissolves into the field. You're not trapped in your circumstances, you're entrained by them. But entrainment can work both ways. Just as tuning forks align to the dominant vibration, your external reality aligns to the internal coherence you maintain. This is why it's called a test, because coherence is proven under pressure. Anyone can be calm when life is gentle. Mastery appears when stillness holds during the storm. So the first step to passing the test is not changing the external coil, it's tuning your internal one. Tesla's clue wasn't about machines transmitting electricity. It was about humans transmitting consciousness. The real current is awareness. The real circuit is breath. When you learn to observe the loop instead of react to it, you stop being the signal's prisoner and start becoming its source. The moment you notice the loop, you've already begun to transcend it. Because what is observed can no longer operate unconsciously. Observation introduces choice, and choice, when anchored in awareness, breaks repetition. So tonight, as you reflect on your test, ask yourself not, why is this happening to me? But what frequency am I sustaining that invites this pattern? That question shifts everything, because awareness doesn't fix the loop, it ends the need for it. Tesla once said, "The day science begins to study non-physical phenomena, it will make more progress in 1 decade than in all the previous centuries of its existence." What he hinted at wasn't mysticism, but a bridge, the invisible threshold where emotion meets electromagnetism, where thought becomes frequency, and where observation itself shapes outcome. The observer effect in quantum physics tells us that particles behave differently when watched, collapsing from wave-like potential into a single position. But what most people overlook is how this mirrors human experience. When you observe your reality from fear, the wave collapses into chaos. When you observe from coherence, what Tesla called harmony, the same field organizes into pattern and order. Think of your inner world as a constellation of vibrating probabilities. Each thought you think, each emotion you allow, sends ripples into the quantum field. These ripples don't disappear. They interfere, overlap, amplify, or cancel one another, creating interference patterns that form your lived experience. Most people interpret life as random outcomes, but in truth, reality is a holographic projection of these interference patterns, your emotional frequency etched across the field. This is why two people can inhabit the same environment and perceive completely different worlds. They're tuning to different frequencies of reality, broadcasting different internal signals to the same universal receiver. Now imagine this from the standpoint of breath. Each inhale gathers energy from the field. Each exhale encodes your signature back into it. When you breathe unconsciously, you're letting random emotional noise write your code. But when you breathe with awareness, you become a deliberate author. Breath is the modulator of the quantum interface between your body and the field. Your heart generates an electromagnetic field, measurable several feet beyond your skin, but its coherence depends entirely on your emotional state. Fear makes that field chaotic. Gratitude makes it symmetrical. The field, like a mirror, reflects whichever signal dominates. Coherence is not a concept, it's a felt experience. It feels like still water beneath movement, like clarity beneath confusion. It's that subtle hum you sense when your thoughts, feelings, and breath finally synchronize. Tesla spent nights in silence tuning to this same hum, understanding that the universe vibrated not in chaos, but in precise harmonic ratios. He wasn't merely building machines. He was listening to the heartbeat of creation itself. And you, whether you realize it or not, have the same capacity. Every emotion carries its own wave pattern. Anger pulses in sharp bursts, like static interference. Anxiety oscillates rapidly, scattering energy outward. Love, however, moves in smooth, rhythmic sine waves that harmonize with surrounding fields. This isn't poetic, it's physics. When you sustain the emotional signature of love, not as sentimentality but as frequency, you create constructive interference with the universe. Your personal waveform merges with the universal one, amplifying the total energy available to you. This amplification manifests as synchronicity, intuition, clarity, what people call miracles. But miracles are just coherence perceived from the inside out. This is the essence of the observer effect in emotional terms. Reality collapses not because you look, but because of how you look. The energy behind your observation encodes the outcome. The observer isn't a person, it's a state of consciousness. When you observe your life through the lens of lack, you create resonance with absence. When you observe through trust, you create resonance with abundance. The field always complies, never questions, never moralizes. It's perfectly neutral. Like a mirror, it simply reflects the dominant signal. Tesla described energy as a sea of frequencies, each one a potential waiting for resonance. You are immersed in that sea right now. Every cell of your body is an antenna, receiving and transmitting information. Your DNA coils, like Tesla's electromagnetic coils, designed to both store and emit light. The coherence of your field determines which probabilities materialize from the quantum ocean of potential. When you're fragmented, scattered by worry or resistance, your signal weakens, dissipating across countless frequencies. But when you align thought, emotion, and breath into one coherent vibration, your signal becomes laser-like, capable of bending probability itself. This is why the greatest transformations often occur when you stop striving. In those quiet moments when you release control, your energy reorganizes into coherence naturally. The mind's interference subsides, the breath deepens, and your field stabilizes. Suddenly, things begin to flow. You call it luck, grace, or divine timing, but what's really happening is entrainment to the universe, aligning to your harmonic frequency. Tesla's coils worked on the same principle. One oscillating field, inducing resonance in another, until both vibrated as one. You are, in every sense, a living coil in the cosmic circuit. So when you ask, "Why am I stuck?" or Why hasn't my intention manifested? The answer lies not in your effort, but in your signal. The field cannot deliver coherence to an incoherent observer. It's not a matter of deserving, it's a matter of resonance. When your inner wave pattern matches the reality you seek, manifestation becomes inevitable. But coherence isn't achieved through force. It emerges through awareness. When you breathe with presence, when you soften your focus and simply notice your internal rhythm, coherence arises like dawn from darkness. The photons in your cells literally synchronize, emitting light at the same frequency. This is measurable. Dr. Fritz Popp called it biophoton emission. Ancient mystics called it radiance. Tesla called it illumination. All three describe the same phenomenon: consciousness made visible through light. You've glimpsed this state before, those timeless moments when everything felt aligned, when your actions flowed effortlessly, when life seemed to breathe with you. That wasn't coincidence. That was coherence. You were in phase with the field. The test is to sustain that alignment even when the world fractures around you. So remember this: the quantum field doesn't reward effort, it responds to coherence. And coherence begins the moment you choose to observe your reality not as broken, but as becoming. Every challenge, every silence, every delay isn't evidence of absence. It's the field's way of fine-tuning your signal to match what you've asked for. Tesla's hidden message was never about machines. It was about mastering vibration. Because the most powerful transmitter ever built is the one you inhabit. Now your conscious, coherent heart. Long before Tesla drew spirals of energy in his notebooks, ancient mystics carved them into temple walls. In Egypt, they called it the breath of Ra, the invisible current animating all forms, flowing between heaven and earth through unseen geometry. The priests of Heliopolis spoke of the Ka, the subtle double of the human being, sustained by rhythmic breath that connected the body to the cosmos. Every inhalation was seen as drawing divine light down the spine. Every exhalation, a release back to the field. To them, breathing wasn't survival, it was participation in creation itself. The same geometry Tesla found in electromagnetic resonance, the coil, the wave, the spiral, was already hidden in the hieroglyphs of the Ankh, the symbol of life force flowing through the eternal loop. They believed the universe breathed with you. When your breath was erratic, your link to Ma'at, the goddess of balance, wavered. Ma'at wasn't merely a deity but a principle, the equilibrium between order and chaos. Her feather of truth weighed the heart of every soul, not as judgment but as calibration. A heart heavy with distortion couldn't rise to higher realms, but a heart coherent, light as the feather, ascended effortlessly. This wasn't myth, it was instruction. The same law governs energy today. Coherence rises, incoherence sinks. Your emotions, like those hearts upon Ma'at's scale, are constantly being weighed against the universal frequency of truth. When your internal rhythm matches that balance, the universe opens its gates. Across the desert sands, another tradition spoke the same language through different symbols. In the Vedic scriptures, breath was prana, the cosmic current flowing through invisible channels called nadis. Yogis describe these currents as serpents coiling around a central pillar, rising through chakras like Tesla's alternating currents ascending a spiral coil. Each center represented a frequency band, a consciousness octave. The ancients weren't superstitious, they were engineers of awareness. They understood what Tesla rediscovered. The body is a resonator, a transformer of universal energy into consciousness. Even the Kabbalists of Old Jerusalem traced similar patterns on parchment scrolls, describing the tree of life as a diagram of energy descending from the infinite into form. Each sephira on the tree was a frequency node, an intersection of divine intention and human perception. To walk the tree was to tune the self from lower to higher coherence. The breath, in Hebrew mysticism, was ruach, the divine wind animating dust into being. Without it, form was inert. With it, consciousness awakened. Tesla studied these metaphors secretly. Though trained in mathematics and machinery, he often spoke of a cosmic rhythm guiding his discoveries, as if ancient breath patterns whispered through his inventions. Imagine the Egyptian initiate standing before the temple gate, hieroglyphs shimmering in torchlight. Before entry, he was asked one question: have you kept your heart light as Ma'at's feather? It was never about moral purity, it was about vibrational alignment. To pass the threshold, one had to match the frequency of truth itself. In that stillness, the breath became the measure. A single deep inhale could reveal everything. If the body tensed, distortion remained. If the breath flowed effortlessly, Alignment had been achieved. Tesla faced his own modern version of that gate. Alone in his laboratory, surrounded by lightning and silence, he realized the same principle. When his emotions distorted impatience, pride, fear, his machines malfunctioned. When he entered still coherence, inventions emerged effortlessly, as if dictated from another dimension. He called it receiving from the ether. The ancients would have called it communion with the divine breath. The sky and cloud metaphor, shared by mystics from Tibet to Alexandria, completes this picture. The sky is pure awareness, infinite and unchanging. The clouds are thoughts, emotions, and experiences, impermanent forms drifting across the expanse. Most people mistake themselves for the clouds, constantly reacting to shape and shadow. But those who remember they are the sky reclaim the stillness beneath movement. Tesla's coils mirrored this truth. Electricity arcs like clouds, but the etheric field, the invisible sky, remains constant. When your awareness stabilizes in that inner sky, the storms of circumstance lose their grip. Every culture that reached high wisdom taught the same silent law. The breath bridges worlds. Between inhale and exhale lies the duat, the Egyptian underworld, not a place of death, but transformation. Between each breath, consciousness pauses in the still chamber of potential, where creation reorganizes itself. The Buddhists call this gap shunyata, the fertile emptiness where all forms arise and dissolve. Tesla felt it in his bones. He described moments of invention, arriving in a flash, a sudden silence followed by light. That flash was his duat, the void between breaths manifesting as idea. These metaphors aren't ornamental, they are maps. They tell you that consciousness travels in cycles, just as electrons oscillate, stars pulse, and breath repeats. Every pause is a portal, every rhythm a doorway. To live unconsciously is to rush past these thresholds, never realizing you are surrounded by sacred architecture. To live awake is to honor them, to treat each breath as both entry and exit, death and rebirth, exhale and resurrection. When Tesla spoke of understanding the universe through frequency, he was echoing the same message carved into temple stone. The path to truth is not outward but inward, through the harmonization of breath, emotion, and awareness. The ankh, the prana, the ruach, the sky, they are all invitations to coherence. To breathe consciously is to stand before Ma'at's scale and choose balance. To feel the tree of life pulsing through your spine. To remember that the same current lighting galaxies also illuminates your soul. So when you next close your eyes and breathe, imagine yourself as the temple itself. The inhale draws divine light down from the stars. The exhale returns your offering to the cosmos. You are both priest and altar, both coil and current. And somewhere in that rhythm, between silence and sound, the same intelligence that guided Tesla's hands continues to hum, reminding you that every breath is a translation of infinity into form. Let's make this real now. You've heard the metaphors and the physics, the whispers of Tesla and the breath of the ancients, but understanding means little until it's felt. So for the next few moments, you'll experience what the mystics called the living field, and what Tesla sensed as the heartbeat of the earth. This is not a ritual to control, fix, or transcend. It's an experiment in coherence, a way to tune your inner coil to the same harmonic that powers the stars. Find a position where your body feels stable, but not rigid. You can sit, stand, or even lie down. The key is comfort without collapse. Close your eyes if you like, or soften your gaze. Feel the ground beneath you. Let it remind you that gravity itself is a form of love, an unseen pull keeping you anchored to the planet's frequency. This is your laboratory, your inner Tesla coil. Now, bring your attention to your breath, not to change it yet, but simply to notice. Where is it happening? In your chest, your belly, your throat? Most of us breathe only halfway, as if afraid to occupy our full space. Tonight, you'll breathe as the universe does, fully, rhythmically, without effort. Inhale through your nose for a slow count of 4. Feel the air descend deep into your abdomen, expanding like a golden sphere. Pause gently for 1 count, then exhale through the mouth for a count of 6, slower than the inhale, allowing the body to soften. Do this 3 times, keeping the rhythm fluid, like ocean waves. This is your first micro-protocol. The Tesla ratio: 4 in, 1 pause, 6 out. The pause is crucial. It mirrors the quantum gap between states, the stillness where possibility collects before manifestation. As you breathe, imagine the inhale drawing light through the crown of your head into your heart. The pause, still, silent, is the spark of awareness. The exhale releases that light into the space around you, like a soft electromagnetic field expanding 8 feet in every direction. Continue this for a few more cycles. Feel the boundary between inner and outer begin to blur. Now, bring awareness to your heartbeat. You don't have to find it physically, just sense its rhythm. Allow your breath and heart to synchronize naturally. Inhale with expansion, exhale with soft release. This is coherence in motion. You're aligning two oscillators, respiration and heartbeat, into a unified frequency. When this happens, your entire electromagnetic field stabilizes. The mind quiets because the signal becomes clear. Here's the second micro-protocol. Observer alignment. As you breathe, notice the space behind your thoughts. Thoughts may appear like sparks, flashes of memory, fragments of dialogue, but behind them is a vast stillness, a silent observer. Rest there. Tesla's greatest inventions were born from this stillness. He once described seeing a blueprint of the alternating current motor appear in a single flash of light, complete and perfect. That flash didn't come from thinking harder. It came from entering coherence so deep that thought dissolved, and the design emerged whole. Stay with the breath and the silence for a few moments. Notice the subtle tingling in your hands, the soft hum in your body. That sensation is bioelectricity, becoming conscious of itself. You're not generating new energy. You're redistributing what was already present, trapped in muscular tension and unprocessed emotion. This is the sacred engineering the ancients practiced without machines. Now imagine your breath flowing through your body as a vertical current. Inhale. Energy rises from the earth through your feet to your heart. Pause. Awareness hovers like the sun at noon. Exhale. Energy descends from the heart down the arms and into the space before you, blessing your immediate field. Each cycle builds coherence. Each pause strengthens the link between awareness and form. Here's the safety note. If at any point you feel lightheaded, restless, or emotionally flooded, simply return to normal breathing. This isn't about endurance or control. It's about dialogue, listening as much as transmitting. Your body is intelligent. It will guide you toward balance when you honor its rhythm. Now, let's extend this into daily life. Micro-protocol 3. Coherent intervals. Several times a day when you reach for your phone, before you open an email, or while waiting at a red light, pause for one conscious breath using the Tesla ratio. 4 in, 1 pause, 6 out. This simple act interrupts the automatic loop of reaction. It creates a quantum gap, a doorway through which a new choice can enter. Micro-protocol 4. Field encoding. When you feel gratitude, imagine exhaling that emotion as frequency. Visualize it rippling into the space around you, subtly tuning the environments you inhabit. Do this silently before entering meetings, difficult conversations, or creative work. You'll begin to notice how the atmosphere shifts, people calm faster, ideas flow, tension dissolves. This isn't persuasion, it's resonance. These small practices are your daily calibration. They reteach your nervous system that peace is not passive, it's precision. Each breath becomes data, rewriting the old loop. Over time, you'll notice a strange stillness following you, an inner gravity that organizes chaos without you needing to control it. Tesla once described feeling as if a great wheel were turning inside me, powered by the universe itself. That's the state you're approaching. Through coherent breath, awareness, and gentle repetition, you become a living receiver of higher order. You begin to sense patterns before they manifest, to intuit solutions before logic assembles them. This is not supernatural, it's natural alignment. So as this practice ends, sit in silence for one last breath. Feel the inhale enter, the pause hover, the exhale dissolve. In that stillness lies everything Tesla ever tried to build: the wireless transmission of energy, the connection between all beings, the hum of creation itself. The ancients called it the breath of God. Tesla called it the current. You, right now, are its bridge. You've practiced noticing. You've begun to feel the hum that Tesla heard in the silence between currents. Now comes the true initiation, the moment you shift from being a passive receiver of reality to an active conductor of it. Every test in your life, each delay, loss, or misunderstanding, has been one question disguised in countless forms. Will you hold your frequency when the evidence collapses? Passing the test doesn't mean you stop feeling fear or grief. It means you learn to keep breathing through them without abandoning awareness. This is the turning point, when you stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and begin whispering, "What vibration am I feeding right now?" In this space, you realize you were never the victim of your loops. You were their creator, their dreamer, their hidden architect. Every limitation was an encoded signal calling you to coherence. Tesla discovered that a current could reverse direction without losing energy if its field remained stable. You, too, can reverse any pattern, financial, emotional, relational, by stabilizing your internal field. The world is not testing your worth, it's testing your steadiness. So let's explore how this shift manifests in real life. Because coherence isn't philosophy, it's circuitry. Scene 1. Money. You open your account and feel that familiar contraction, a tightness in the chest, a flicker of shame, a fear of not enough. That's the loop initiating. In the old pattern, you would react, panic, overwork, compare, complain. But now you pause. 1 conscious breath, 4 in, 1 pause, 6 out. You notice that the emotion is energy moving through you, not a verdict upon you. In that instant, you stop encoding scarcity into the field. Instead, you breathe coherence. From that stillness, solutions appear, an overdue payment arrives, a new idea surfaces, or the tension simply dissolves. The money didn't magically appear. Your frequency shifted from constriction to flow, the field rearranged around your coherence. Scene 2. Relationship. You're in conversation with someone you love, and suddenly something they say strikes a wound. You feel the urge to defend, to withdraw, to prove. The loop tightens, but now you recognize the pattern not as betrayal, but as feedback. Tesla once said, "If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy." So you ask yourself, what energy am I transmitting right now? Instead of speaking from reactivity, you breathe. The pause between inhale and exhale becomes a sanctuary. In that 0.3-second stillness, you observe the emotion, not as an enemy but as information. The moment you do, the tone of the conversation shifts. The other person senses the coherence in your field and begins to soften. Without saying a word, you've retuned the interaction. Scene 3. Leadership. You're facing a crucial decision, one that affects others, perhaps a team, a family, or an entire community. The mind begins its storm. What if this fails? What if they judge? What if I'm not ready? But the observer within you steps forward. You remember the Tesla ratio. You breathe through the body, and the chaos in your nervous system steadies. From this grounded coherence, you act not from fear of outcome, but from alignment with principle. The result? Decisions carry precision. Others trust your calm, not because you promise certainty, but because you radiate stability. This is leadership in its quantum form, guiding not through command, but through coherence. In each scene, something subtle yet monumental happens. The external circumstances remain the same, but the field of interpretation changes. That shift of meaning transforms the entire equation. The victim asks, "Why me?" The creator asks, "What now?" The first amplifies resistance, the second invites participation. Tesla's systems worked the same way. Resistance created heat and loss. Coherence created transmission. Here's the principle. Life's tests aren't walls, they're waveforms. When you meet them with force, they reflect back opposition. When you meet them with coherence, they fold into harmony. Your awareness doesn't overpower reality, it entrains it. To apply this daily, practice what I call the 3-step transmutation cycle. Step 1. Notice the signal. When tension arises, don't analyze, and observe the sensation. Step 2. Breathe coherence. Inhale through the nose, pause gently, exhale longer. Step 3. Reassign meaning. Replace "this is happening to me" with "this is feedback fine-tuning my frequency." That subtle shift turns chaos into data, and data into mastery. You'll begin to see how everything connects. The late reply to your message, the delay in plans, the sudden silence, each is a reading from the field, showing you where your signal still fluctuates. You stop chasing certainty and start cultivating steadiness. And here lies Tesla's deepest secret. Energy stability generates power multiplication. What once drained you, now fuels you. The universe isn't asking you to think more positively. It's asking you to vibrate more coherently. That doesn't mean suppressing pain. It means witnessing it until it reveals its rhythm. Every emotion, no matter how dark, has a harmonic beneath it. Fear hides courage at a lower frequency. Grief conceals love stretched thin. When you breathe through emotion rather than away from it, you restore its original tone. Soon, you'll notice a strange paradox. The more you observe without trying to control, the faster reality reorganizes itself. This is the essence of the turning point, realizing that your stillness is more influential than your struggle. The observer isn't distant, it's directive. Tesla called it the principle of resonance magnification. The moment coherence stabilizes, external forms bend to it. So tonight, when the next challenge arrives, and it will remember this, you're not being tested for perfection. You're being invited into participation. The universe doesn't need your reaction. It needs your rhythm. The loop ends not when the world changes, but when you stop oscillating against it. Then, and only then, you become what Tesla envisioned: a conscious conductor of the living current, a bridge between potential and form. You've crossed a threshold. You've moved from seeing life as an obstacle course to recognizing it as a field of frequencies, each moment inviting a different version of you to emerge. The test was never about endurance, it was about remembrance. To remember that coherence, not control, shapes reality. That stillness is not withdrawal from the world, but deeper participation in it. This is where Tesla's clues and the ancient breath converge. At the point where the human becomes the bridge, not between science and spirit, but between chaos and order, between the noise of thought and the music of awareness. You've learned that the observer effect isn't limited to quantum particles, it's the human condition itself. Everything you observe in love harmonizes. Everything you resist in fear fragments. The universe is neutral, yet infinitely responsive. It mirrors not what you say, but who you are being while you say it. When Tesla watched lightning burst across the Colorado sky, he felt not smallness but kinship. He once said, "I see the universe as a magnificent symphony of interconnected vibrations. You are part of that symphony. Your breath is one note, your presence another. Each coherent thought you emit adds harmony to the collective field of humankind." The ancient Egyptians called this cosmic order Ma'at. The Taoists called it Li, the pattern that underlies all patterns. Modern physics calls it coherence. But beneath every name is one truth: balance. In practical terms, this balance looks ordinary. It's the calm parent who listens before reacting, the artist who creates without demand for recognition, the leader who chooses integrity over urgency. It's you, quietly breathing through uncertainty while the world rushes past. This is what stillness looks like in public. It's not silence, it's presence. It's what the sages meant when they said, "Be in the world, but not of it." Your life, then, becomes a kind of public art, an ongoing performance of stillness. Not frozen inactivity, but fluid awareness woven through daily acts. When you speak from coherence, your words carry weight that others feel before they understand. When you listen from coherence, even silence becomes healing. The true currency of the next era won't be speed or intelligence, it will be coherence. Those who can hold steady frequencies of peace amidst chaos will become the new architects of reality. To live this way requires humility. The ego wants to claim mastery. I've learned the lesson. I control my frequency. But coherence can't be owned. It can only be inhabited. The moment you grasp at it, it dissipates. True mastery is gentle. It knows that alignment must be renewed each day, in each breath, in each choice. Like tuning an instrument, it's ongoing. The goal isn't to stay perfect. It's to return to balance more quickly each time you drift. Tesla's life was a reminder of this paradox. Despite his brilliance, he died nearly forgotten alone in a small New York room, feeding pigeons and dreaming of wireless light for all humanity. Yet his unseen influence continues to pulse through every device powered by alternating current, every tower transmitting invisible energy. His work was never wasted because energy never disappears. It only changes form. The same is true of you. Every coherent thought, every act of presence, ripples beyond your lifetime. You may never see its full effect, but the field does. Belonging doesn't come from others recognizing you. It comes from recognizing yourself in all things. The same current that animates your breath, animates the trees, the oceans, the quiet hum, inside power lines at midnight. You belong not because you earn your place, but because you are the place, the living intersection of awareness and matter. When you sit in stillness, you're not escaping life. You're entering its source code. So, as you stand now in this quiet recognition, feel the dignity of being human, not as dominance over nature, but as partnership with it. Feel how your body, simple and sacred, is both receiver and transmitter of the universe's intelligence. You don't need to ascend anywhere to reach heaven. You need only descend fully into the breath you already have. The divine hides in plain sight, waiting for you to slow down enough to notice. If Tesla had one final message for this age, it might sound like this. Everything is vibration, but consciousness is the tuning fork. What you hold in awareness shapes the frequency of the whole. Your breath, your attention, your stillness, they're not small acts. They are the stabilizing forces of creation. So let your coherence be your legacy. Let your stillness be your contribution. Walk through the noise of this world as the calm in its center, not above others but among them. Remember that even lightning returns to the earth after touching the sky. You, too, are that lightning divine energy grounded in human form. And when you forget, and you will simply breathe again. The breath is the bridge home, the password back to coherence, the simplest technology of awakening ever created. It asks for nothing. It promises everything. Inhale presence, exhale control. Inhale awareness, exhale resistance. Each cycle brings you closer to the truth Tesla lived, and the ancients carved into stone. You are not separate from the field. You are the field remembering itself through human eyes. Now, before this message dissolves into the noise of your next moment, let's anchor what you've felt into form. You've listened, you've remembered, you've breathed, but now, you'll seal the circuit turning knowledge into frequency. This isn't a performance, it's a declaration. A subtle reprogramming of your electromagnetic field through conscious intent. Wherever you are, pause. Let your hands rest, softly, unclenched. Feel the air around you alive, shimmering, charged with intelligence. The same current that moved through Tesla's coils moves through you now. Take a slow breath in through your nose for 4 counts, hold for 1, and release through your mouth for 6. Again, inhale light rising up your spine. Pause the stillness between worlds. Exhale energy descending, radiating into space. 1 more breath, this time with awareness that each inhale draws coherence into your field, and each exhale broadcasts it into the collective. You're not just breathing, you're encoding reality. Feel that. 3 breaths, simple, precise, sacred. Now close your eyes or let them soften. Ask yourself, what one word defines the frequency you want to inhabit from this moment forward? Not a wish, a truth, ready to live through you. Perhaps it's clarity, trust, freedom, peace, or power. Let the first word that arises come without judgment. That's your signature, your password to the field. Now say this quietly or aloud if you can feel it vibrating through your chest. I choose to. Your word, as the observer. Let it resonate in the body, not as thought, but as vibration. Feel the statement expand beyond language, turning into rhythm, into light. This is your attunement. When Tesla completed his experiments, he often stood in silence before the hum of his machines, listening to the echo fade into the air. He said those were the moments he felt closest to the divine. That same silence lives here now, in you, right after the declaration, when the breath empties, when awareness expands. It's the echo of creation, acknowledging you back. As you linger in that silence, know that this coherence you've cultivated doesn't vanish when the video ends. It ripples outward. Every person you meet will feel it, perhaps not consciously, but their nervous system will register your stillness as safety. You become a lighthouse for coherence in a storming world. When doubt returns, and it will, remember the simplicity of these 3 breaths. They're your access point to Tesla's secret, to the observer effect, to the quantum field. You don't need to climb mountains or master philosophies. The bridge is already built. It's breath, awareness, stillness, the same tools that powered pyramids and inspired inventions. So, before you scroll away, do one final act of coherence. Type your chosen word in the comments below. It's not vanity, it's ritual. A digital sigil anchoring your intention in shared consciousness. Thousands will see it, and together, we form a network of resonance, each of us a node of light, remembering that the test was never meant to break us, only to reveal our frequency. If this message has reminded you of what you already are, subscribe not just to the channel, but to this frequency. This space is a gathering of conscious observers, each one remembering that awareness is creation. Each breath we take in coherence adds harmony to the field. Every moment we choose stillness, the world grows quieter. So as this video fades, don't rush to fill the silence. Let it breathe, let it hum, let it reorganize the molecules of your life. You'll notice subtle miracles soon, timing aligning, tension dissolving, clarity arriving without effort. That's not coincidence. That's the field responding to your new signal. Tesla once said, "If you only knew the magnificence of the 3, 6, and 9, you would have the key to the universe. 3 breaths, 6 seconds of stillness, 9 words that change everything. I choose to, your word, as the observer. Now, breathe once more, gently. Inhale the light. Exhale the noise. Let coherence be your prayer and your proof." This message found you tonight to remind you that the test is not outside you, it's within you. And you've just passed it. Welcome home, observer. Welcome to the field. Subscribe to this frequency, and let's keep breathing the new world into being together.